Herzlich willkommen, meine Freunde, bei Hanovi Global Network, dem Besten in Verantwortlichkeit, Klarheit und Wahrheit. Die Jugend ist das Fundament unserer Nation. Man muss ihr die Wahrheit sagen. Man darf sie niemals mit leeren sozial-marxistischen Versprechungen für politische Vorteile tauschen. The youth is the foundation of the nation, and they must be told the truth and never be given empty socialist Marxist promises for political gains. So first and foremost, let me say to the youth of Grenada, and I want you to understand how important and significant you are in the development of your nation. So I want you to understand your position in the society. And I want you to understand, because of that position, that you should never allow yourselves to be played, to be deceived, or to be bamboozled by sweet-talking politicians for their benefit, especially when they have decided that they are going to give you pennies on the dollar. You deserve more than that. For your support, for your wholehearted support and belief in them, you deserve more than that. A heck of a lot more than that. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, I want you to understand that politicians will do and say whatever it takes to get elected. And when they get elected, they will do and say whatever it takes to stay elected and to maintain that power. Because obviously, there's a lot of benefits to be derived from being in power. But I want you to understand that they rule at your mercies. You are the one that have put them there. And as such, they should be responsible to you. And they should do what is in your best interest and the nation's interest. So what you see happening now, that all of a sudden, they're promoting a strategy that rises you up, that keeps you motivated, that keeps you following them. And in some respect, it is a fantastic, fantasy-filled strategy. They are trying to encourage you along this so-called revolutionary path. And they're not doing this by accident, because they understand that the youth is full of vitality and vigor and is always ready for something that is passionate, it's something that sounds revolutionary, something that feels idealistic, something filled with a lot of hype. So I want you to understand that this is a very deliberate strategy that is being used right now, and I would say against you. It's not for you, it is for them. And you have to understand there are a lot of people behind the scenes that you may not know about who are actually directing that policy. So this is not new. This playbook, we have seen it before. And I am here today to have a very honest conversation with you. And I want, in some respects, to help educate you. Because some of the people who are supposed to educate you about that process has not done that. And a lot of the times, they did not do that because they themselves were part of the process from 79 to 83 and was so devastated by its downfall and its catastrophic end that they really didn't want to talk about it. But the sad part about that is that because the people who knew about it didn't want to talk about it, then you had a bunch of false prophets, a bunch of people who hijacked the story, and then they're telling you the story and using this story to their benefit. And a lot of the stuff that they're telling you is blatant lies and deception. So today we're going to set the record straight. So what you see happening now, they're trying to encourage you again along this revolutionary path. They're trying to deceive you about what is happening in the global political dynamic. They will have you believe that the emergent powerful China is because of some socialist Marxist policies that they have adopted and is implementing. But I want you to understand, and I want to dispel that first myth. Now, the emergence of China has more to do with that they abandoned rigid, hardcore socialist Marxist doctrine and actually pivoted towards Western society, changed the economic policy, engaged Western society, and as a result was able to improve the economy. And that is why they became such a serious economic power. Not because they held on to some rigid socialist Marxist doctrine, not because they had some rigid fanatical Marxist doctrine. Quite to the contrary, if they had held on to those rigid, puritanical Marxist doctrine, guess what? China would not have become the superpower economically that it has become. Again, let me clear this up. It is because China pivoted, relaxed many of these rigid socialist Marxist economies and engaged the Western societies. Okay? To call China some sort of socialist Marxist ideal right now in this modern world is pure hogwash. I want you to understand that is fantasy. Okay? China, in many respects, is just as any capitalist society in the Western Hemisphere. Okay? That is why the economy is thriving the way it's thriving. Politically, they may have some tenets of socialist Marxist doctrine, but economically, they have opened their economy to Western societies, and it's basically capitalistic like any other society. So I don't want you to be fooled by these politicians who are telling you, oh, look to China. That's the ideal of socialist Marxist doctrine. And if you follow them, then you will be as progressive. That, my friends, the youth of Grenada, I want you to understand that that is a blatant lie and a deception. Now, if you know a little bit about the history of all these socialist Marxist countries, those in Eastern Europe, all over the world, many of them who held on to socialist Marxist doctrines, economies collapsed, majorly collapsed. I want you to understand that. That is truth that is being told to you. Now, your deceptive, blatant, lying politicians and their backers behind the scenes would have you believe that that is not the case. Deep down, these same false pretenders of socialist Marxist fanatics, they themselves are beneficiaries of the capitalist societies in the world. They themselves has benefited more from capital and profits than you yourselves would ever benefit. They themselves are selling this fantasy to you to rile you up because they know that by capitalizing on your poverty, on your desperation, on your economic deprivation, they know by doing that, they can maintain their privileged position. They know by capitalizing on your frustration, on your anger, on your hurt, on your pain, that they can sell you a fantasy policy. They can emotionally rile you up and play games with you to comfort you emotionally, when truth and in fact, they're doing all of this just to preserve their political power and their political position. I want you to understand, the youth of Grenada. You are being lied to. You are being deceived. But I know you are smarter and you will see through all of this. There's many things at your fingertips right now. And there's many things that you can do to research the things that are being said to you. And I want you to start doing those things. I want you to wake up, okay, from your sleep and slumber. And I don't want you to be deceived by politicians whose only aim is to protect themselves and enrich themselves. Their aim is to use the machinations of government to enrich themselves, all while they give you pennies on the dollar. This is the game that is being played. And I want you to see the game for what it is. They are going to resent me for telling you this, but I am going to tell it to you. I am going to be truthful with you. I want you to understand you have an administration and you have the leader of administration who says he loves Morris Bishop. He tells you that he loves Morris Bishop. He tells you that he romanticizes the whole idea of Morris Bishop. But this gentleman, while he says he loves Morris Bishop, is in bed, so to speak, with people who hated Morris Bishop, with people who are responsible for the demise of Morris Bishop. Now you should ask yourself, isn't this a contradiction? Someone says he loves Morris Bishop, but yet still he is friends and he is in bed with people who were totally against Morris Bishop, who were responsible for the death and destruction and demise of everything that Morris Bishop stood for. Isn't that a contradiction? This is what you should ask yourself. And you should ask yourself, well, why is he doing that? Why is he allowing socialist Marxist remnants from the PRG government, in some respects, to be his advisors? Why is he doing that? I'll tell you why. Because I believe that in some respects, because they've used that playbook in the 70s and they riled up the Grenadian youth and they got a little bit of success with it, guess what? He's hoping that these people will tell him how to implement that playbook again. If you realize they've started to implement that playbook again. They've started to use intimidation tactics. Okay? They've started to intimidate people economically. Now they're not going to smack you around and squeeze your cojones and put you up in Hopeville. Do you understand? I want you to understand this place where they're planning to put Polaris, this great teaching and research hospital, White Elephant that they're planning to put in Hopeville. I want you to understand, what was Hopeville? This is a place where the PRG government housed so-called counter-revolutionaries back in the days and did some very evil and mean things to them. I want you to understand that. If you've not heard it, I am telling you right now. Now you see a bit of economic intimidation tactics is being used nowadays, that people are afraid to say anything. You cannot say anything in any way that seems to be against the current administration, lest you be sanctioned by them. So I want you to understand, my dear, strong, brilliant, vital Grenadian youth, that all these ideas, these revolutionary ideas of looking to the East and looking to China, looking to these socialist Marxist country, it's nothing but a trap. It's a setup. It's a deception. It's just geared to rile you up, to make you feel that you're part of something and part of a process. But you know and you understand that all the benefits that you are receiving and enjoying right now can mainly be attributed to Western society. Look at all the people that came to Grenada and had a wonderful time over the summer holidays and the carnival. Where did they come from? They didn't come from China. When you need a little tap up on your telephone, who do you call? You don't call somebody in China or these socialist Marxist country. You call somebody in New York. You call somebody in the United States. These are the people who sends you a tap up. Okay? So I want you to understand reality. I want you to understand where all your benefits is coming from. Just think about it. All the amazing real estate development that has taken place in Grenada. First, it used to be people from London or the United Kingdom that used to come and build big, massive homes in Grenada. Okay? Then you see more and more it's people from the United States. Look at all the beautiful properties that have been built post-revolutionary era in Grenada. Look at all the real estate. All the people that worked their asses off and came back to Grenada and built family homes. How many people went to socialist Marxist countries and came back to Grenada and built homes? How many of them? Look around you. All that real estate development, all these family homes that have been built in the last 20, 30 years has been built by who? People who went to the United States. People who went to the United Kingdom. People who went to Canada. These are Western societies these people went to and worked and came back and helped develop their country. How many of them went to socialist Marxist countries and came back and built properties in Grenada? So the bottom line is this: you cannot bite the hand that feeds you. You cannot be antagonistic to nations that your family members go to, work hard, and come back and build their countries. That makes sense, right? So there's an old saying, never trade a bird in hand for two in the bushes. Okay? Never, ever do that. So I want you to understand, the youth of Grenada, that I am here to dispel all the myths, all the lies, all the misinformation that is being spread to you by these political charlatans. Now, I want you to understand, they're going to hate me for telling you this information. They're going to resent me for telling you the truth because they don't want you to know the truth. I want you to understand that the very Morris Bishop that you adore and you love and you hold in high esteem, one of the reasons that he somehow ended up on the wrong side of these fanatical socialist Marxists who pretended to be his brothers, okay, one of the reasons is because he, being a smart man in his own right, realized that Grenada, being antagonistic or aggressive to the United States, was not a very good path to pursue. So what did he do? Just before he was brutally murdered, he made a visit to the United States and he tried to have a conversation with the administration in the United States. And what he was trying to do, he was trying to let them know that, look, Grenada might be pursuing a socialist Marxist path, but it's not a threat to the United States. Okay? It's not going to facilitate major socialist Marxist countries in Grenada that will become a threat to the United States. He was trying, in some respects, to appease, to mend the relationship between Grenada and the United States. And that is why he made that trip to the United States. Unfortunately, the hardline fanatics, hardcore people around him didn't understand the wisdom in his actions. And as a result, that is one of the reasons why they turn against him. Of course, that is one of the reasons, coupled with the other reason that they were desperately seeking political power for themselves. Okay? So this happened a couple of months before Morris Bishop and his colleagues were brutally gunned down. Okay? By people who should have been his comrades. And part of their thinking is that he was not hardline enough. Okay? He was not fanatical enough. Okay? Because they pretended that they were more Marxist than Lenin. So I want you to understand the truth and the reasons that also led up to his demise. Okay? And interestingly enough, while the leader of your administration says that he loves Morris Bishop, these very people who were responsible for the demise of Morris Bishop, it is alleged that he is actually in bed with these sort of people. Now, Grenadian youth, tell me if you find that this is the best thing to do. In your good judgment, my Grenadian youth, you tell me that if you think that the very people who were responsible for the demise of Morris Bishop, that the current leader of the administration should be in bed, should actually be toying, should actually be embracing these very people. And this is what is happening. That is why you notice that we're having a very twisted foreign policy. Okay? Where people are trying to tell you, people are trying to put you into this fantastic world, this world of fantasy, and having you believe that this socialist Marxist doctrine is the best thing for Grenada. And the very people who have lived in these countries would tell you the exact opposite. Grenadians, this is not you. This is a problem. That is why they've tried this experiment before from 79 to 83. And that is why it came to a catastrophic end. Because the Grenadian people realized that this is not who they are. This is not what they wanted. This is not part of their destiny. And now you have these very same people, these dinosaurs, these remnants of socialist Marxists, okay, who have no respect for the intellect of the Grenadian youth, is now trying to come and convince you and is trying to manipulate you, the Grenadian youth of today. They did the same thing to the youth of the 70s and the early 80s. And now they're preying on you, okay, like vicious wolves, like hyenas. They're preying on you right now, okay? So I'm saying to you, be careful with these people. Everything they touch has always turned to stone. These people are like the old Greek mythological figure, Medusa. If they look at you, you'll turn to stone. If they touch you, you'll turn to stone. Stay away from these people, okay? Stay away from them. Nothing good comes from embracing these people. They have shown it in the past, and like leopards, they have not changed their skins. They have not changed their skins. Even their own comrades, okay, who were part and parcel of the movement they were part of, has avoided them like a bad disease, has stayed away from them as if they're toxic, as if they're infectious. But here you have your leader of your administration, for whatever reason, is embracing these type of characters. So I am appealing to you, the Grenadian youth. I am appealing to you. I trust your wisdom and judgment. You are smart. And I want you to do your own research. Understand who these people are. Remember, at the end of the day, these people will lure you into traps, like they did with the Grenadian youth of the late 70s and early 80s. They lure them into a trap. They're big boasters. They're full of bravado. And they were singing songs inviting the United States to attack them. Let them come, we will bury them in the sea. These were their slogans. And I'll tell you this, do not be deceived once more. When they did come, these very comrades, these very people who invited a fight, who thought they were so big and bad, guess what they did? They ran and hid. They abandoned the Grenadian youth of the late 70s and the early 80s. They abandoned them and left them on the battlefield to fight on their own. And many of them perished. Many of them lost their lives, okay, and left their family to mourn. And these people, notice, if you notice, all of these big bajans, okay, all of these hardcore fanatical socialist Marxists, notice that they're all alive, okay? They're all alive. What does that tell you? That while they left the youth of Grenada to fight against the greatest army in the world, all of these suckers went and hid. There's only one among them that had a little bit of guts. Okay? Only one among them. So I am appealing to you. I don't want you to recklessly put your life and your safety, again, in this time, in this modern world, where the ability for devastation is so great. I'm appealing to you, don't put your life and the safety of your life in the hands of these people who have abandoned you before. Because when the going gets tough, they will abandon you again. As I've asked the question before, when you need a top-up, who do you call? You call somebody in the United States. When you need the same Chinese-made shoe, fancy shoes, who do you call? You don't call China, okay? You call in the United States. All the people that came down in Carnival and spent their bread, where did they come from? The United States. Some maybe from the UK, some maybe from Canada. But the point I'm making, most of them came from Western societies, okay? They didn't come from no socialist Marxist country. How many of them came from the socialist Marxist country in the Caribbean to spend money during the carnival time? No. What does that tell you? That should tell you something, okay? Ask yourself this question again. Grenada had so many socialist Marxist allies in 1983. When the United States invaded Grenada, how many of those socialist Marxist allies came to their assistance? How many of them came to help them, militarily or otherwise? None. None. Grenada was left out in the cold, out in the wind, out in the heat, all by themselves. So I want you to learn from your past mistakes. And that's the way you're not going to repeat those mistakes in the future. Grenadian youth, I'm appealing to you. Do not be deceived. These ideas that they're promoting and they're selling to you are nothing but a bunch of hogwash. Okay? They're fantastic ideas. Okay? It is outdated, unworkable ideas that have been tried over and over again and has failed. It will not work, especially in this type of world. It will not work. And don't let them misrepresent to you about these current socialist Marxist countries that are doing well. As I have said, the reason that these current socialist Marxist countries are doing well, like China, is because they have pivoted away from rigid socialist Marxist theory. They've embraced Western ideas of capitalism. Okay? They've changed the socialist Marxist economy and embraced Western ideas of capitalism. That is why they're doing so good. And the ones that have held fast, the ones that have held on to these rigid socialist Marxist doctrines of economics and politics are currently suffering economically. So I want you to understand that. Why you think that you as a small, vulnerable economy like Grenada would want to embrace these socialist Marxist ideas, would want to admire these fantastic socialist Marxist ideas or incorporate it into your society. Don't you find that you're doing well? Don't you find that you're doing good with your current capitalistic policies? The most progress that has been made in Grenada has been post-83. Okay? The little progress that they would have made from 79 to 83 was because of substantial outside help by socialist Marxist country. Okay? But look, today and post-1983, by your very hands, by your capitalistic ideals, you have raised the standard of living of your country. Okay? You're able to enjoy the benefits that comes with a capitalist ideology. So why at this stage would you want to jeopardize all the progress you've made? I want you to understand that this is fool's gold they're selling you. They're just saying this to you to appeal to your emotions. They want to rile you up. They want to give you a fantasy, something to appease you. But deep down, this is a hollow doctrine that they're trying to sell to you. It is unworkable. It's a losing doctrine. I'll have you know that all these socialist Marxists, where do you think they run to? Where did all these guys run to? They run to capitalistic societies. Okay? They run to capitalistic societies. So don't let them fool you. It's all in their head. It's all in their mind. Okay? They do not even believe in what they're saying. They're only saying all this nonsense because they want to make you feel that they are some intellectually bright people. Understand that they do not truly believe in what they're saying. Okay? They want to give you some fantastic idea while they hold on to the inner true capitalistic ideals. They want to sell you nonsensical doctrine so you can be kept in poverty while they advance. That is how they maintain their privileged position. Okay? They give you a doctrine, an ideal to hold on to that they know would not work while they advance using their capitalistic doctrine. And there you are. They want you to continually be beggars and peasants coming to them looking for a handout. This is the game that they're playing with you. And my Grenadian youth, I want you to understand and see this for what it is. So the bottom line is this. Stay far away from these socialist, Marxist dinosaurs. Stay far away from these socialist, Marxist remnants of the PRG. There's nothing good can come from them and your interaction with them. There's absolutely nothing good that can come from them. The only thing good that can come from them is for you to look at what they've done and look at the mistakes they've made and realize that they have not changed. Their mentality have not changed. And these are the people that you should not listen to. Ever. On that note, guten Abend.